Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of the Habibis, three game developers drinking good Arab tea. I'm your host for this week, Osama Dorius.
And I'm Fawzi Mesmer.
And live from LA, Rami Ismail. Yeah,
Hi,
sorry,
Rami.
I had to try that.
Of course. Yeah, after so many episodes, I still absolutely love our theme music. Every time I hear it, it just brings me joy and makes me happy. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I have very good associations with that with the song.
I mean, the fact that I'm not grumpy at 7 a.m. after listening to that says that it's good music, because any other music right now and I'd be upset.
I think it's one of the good things about Rami not drinking is that we almost certainly make sure that he wakes up, he's only grumpy from sleep, not also grumpy and hungover. It's only the one grumpy.
It's the one grumpy.
You don't get the layers.
But I do get the wake up voice, so my voice is a little raspy today.
But that's the radio voice, though.
That's the radio voice. That's why I wanted to try it. I'm like, okay, let's go.
We should find that location which we all wake up at 7 a.m. and just.
I think we have to be raspy. We'll be in the same time zone if that happens, right?
That's true. We are three game developers drinking good and oh boy, do we need the tea this morning.
We really need the tea. Really need the
tea. Yeah, so that episode where we're in the same location, hopefully that'll happen at some point, right?
At some point, inshallah.
Inshallah, one day.
It's still shocking to me that we've never been in the same room at the same time. Like every combination of two of us have.
Yep.
But not all three of us together.
Yep. So that's how it is. So we need to fix that.
Absolutely. So Rami, what are you doing all the way in LA?
There was this little thing called the Game Awards.
I think I've heard of it.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. It is the Jeff Keighley sponsored by Games Industry Awards show, and I will say,
describing it.
I like the show. Every year I've been a fan. I've gone a few times, and it's a whole spectacle. It's a whole thing, and it's honestly more like an announcement program than a award show. And I'm generally not. Like, the awards themselves don't interest me all that much. They're press awards, right? It's the press handing out their end of year lists.
Yeah.
Which I don't really care for. Like, I love the press. I appreciate the press, but they tend to have a different look on games than I have, right?
Yeah, they're biased. That's fair. It's okay to have a bias.
Of course they are. Like, everybody is biased, right? And the press has a specific perspective on games, and all these big websites choose who wins, and there's an audience award, but they sort of represent a similar but different perspective to the press. So for me, like, the GDC awards or the DICE awards or the BAFTAs, those are the awards that interest me because they're peer awards, right? They're awards given by game developers to game developers for good execution of our craft rather than for like a good product coming out at the other end.
Yeah, and 100% agree with that. What I would like to add is I've been on boards that I'm sure both of you have as well, that nominated and voted for winners of awards. And one thing people don't realize is how close the votes are sometimes, where it's really anyone's win. It happens so many times, and at the end, it's really just human beings at the end giving their opinion. So. I think a nomination is nearly as good as a win, just based on that, just based on my experience of seeing how it goes down behind the scenes for all of these awards.
Yeah. I'm also on a judging panel for a bunch of these things. Like one of the highlights for me is in the Game Developers Choice Awards, and but it's also one of the most difficult things for me as well. Because I want to nominate the best game for game design. There's great game design in all of them, and there's things that worked out really well. There's some things that didn't work, and almost every video game is the way it works. It's always because it's such a big team effort. It's hard for me to to identify an aspect of a game and go this aspect of the game is the best out of all the other games out there. There's something odd about that.
No, it is odd, but at the same time, I think if I would want an award like that, I would want it from the people that are in the that are in the same job as me.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I love the press, but their perspective will always be that of what product is this, and how does this outcome come together, right? Mm-hmm. And that's important. It's an important function. The press is critical to the games industry. I just don't care as much about what they think is the best game of the year. Not because I don't care. I actually find it super fun to read all the game and the end of year lists. Right, I love reading them. I love reading their perspective and their thoughts, and some of them have really interesting ways of approaching games because they're very different people than me, and I love that. Mm-hmm. But if I was gonna get an award or care about an award, it would be one that the two of you picked for, right? Or
and I get that it's like
colleagues.
There are audience choice awards and they're valid, like whatever was popular, right? But again, I put less stakes in that than what my peers are voting.
So there was that, and then obviously this is the first time I've been back in North America, in the US in particular, in a long while. So that had a lot of feelings attached to it. North America was rough. Being in the US was fun. But seeing the whole US games development community again was really nice. Like, it's a good bunch. I've missed them a lot. They're a little more extra than our European developers. I will say.
I love it.
A little more extra. It's really weird. Being in the US has been really strange because it almost feels like a caricature of my memories at the moment. Right? It's LA, has these big roads, so many cars, like everybody drives like they're possessed. So much good food. The sunsets are preposterous. The trees are trees. Everything is big and loud, and like it wants your attention, and you're constantly a little scared in the back of your head. And it's weird. Obviously I've been in Europe for 2 years almost, and my life has changed a lot in those 2 years. Being back here is just very different. So that's been interesting. And then obviously I've been sort of like sorting through all the stuff that got announced. Because a lot of stuff got announced. So much stuff. I'm very excited about it.
Yep.
Because I was genuinely a little tired of the games industry for a while, where I'm like, come on, something cool has to happen soon, right? And there were a few releases that were good, but there wasn't like the announcements that made me go like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I was very excited for a number of games that got announced.
Ooh, I'd love to hear what your short list is of games you're excited about.
Yeah, let's do that in a second, because I have one more thing I wanted to add.
Oh.
One thing I like about the Game Awards is that you get to dress up. It's a fancy event. So I got to dress up, which was great. I got to put on a suit and like see everybody else like kind of dress up, and it was really fun and cute and just funny to see the games industry dress up. It feels like everybody threw themselves at it with a little bit more conviction than normal years, because normal years you see a lot of devs still coming in a blazer with their own video game logo t-shirt under it.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice to see people actually dressing up like an award ceremony,
right?
Yeah. Not doing the video game dressing up, and it's like t-shirt, blazer, and sneakers.
And sneakers, yeah.
No, so that was awesome. Incredible suits, incredible dresses, incredible like just people coordinating, incredible outfits. One good friend of mine, they went in what is basically a Final Fantasy antagonist outfit. Pure white, beautiful outfit. There was a lot going on, which was awesome. It was good to see everybody.
That's great.
Rami, I've been noticing that the tendency for you to find an excuse to wear a suit has been increasing a lot over the
season. I think I normally wear about that many suits. I just go to way more things where I don't wear a suit.
Yeah, fair enough.
normally, right? Well, now really only the events I'm coming out for are the really big ones.
Yeah.
So you go to the orchestra, and you go to this. Oh, it was fun actually. The vocalist, the singer that I work with at the orchestra, Julie Elvin, she also performed here.
Oh, nice.
And I took the same suit with me. So this, she has now seen me in that suit at 2 different events where she was performing in 1 year on 2 continents. Wow. That was a really funny coincidence. Just be like, hey, you're doing okay. Hi.
But to be fair, you look really good in that suit.
It's a good suit. It's a good suit. Yeah. I clean up well. It almost makes you think I should do that more often, but no, I'm not going to do that more often. The suit is fun for occasions, but I think my dad sort of raised me with a good occasion needs a good suit. But suits are kind of expensive, and I don't want to keep buying suits. So I also don't want to reuse a suit too often, because then it stops being that suit,
Yeah.
So this is probably the last time that suit will come out. Maybe one more time, but then it's time for something else.
Fair.
But yeah, announcements. I mean, you two watch from the outside. My butt fell off by the time we were done, because it was 3 hours.
Yeah, it was long.
So it was a little long, but obviously you had a great perspective on it because you weren't there, which in the games industry usually means that you got the better experience.
Well, to be fair, I was actually not feeling well during the awards, so I did watch a couple of trailers, then I took a break, and I kept doing that, so I must have missed a lot. I still have a lot that I watched and a lot that I'm excited about, but I think Fauzi got the best experience of the 3 of us.
Well, I was asleep throughout the entire time because it was
so somehow I still got the best experience of it.
It's 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. So I would say yes, I most definitely had the best experience because I was the most comfy out of the 2 of you for sure. Rami's tired and Osama not feeling well. I was fast asleep. During every second of it. But when I woke up, I obviously watched everything. I watched the super cut of all the trailers together, and then the key moments, and that was still an hour and a half. Wow. So I can feel that there was so much going on. I think the trailers on their own were an hour. Just pure trailers of everything. And
I think the trailers must have been the majority of the show. Yeah. By a long distance.
Yeah,
there was so much going on. It's cool.
There was a lot.
It's like there's now 2 E3s a year. There's if your trailer doesn't land on E3, it can land on the Game Awards. So malish, no problem.
At this point, almost also vice versa, right? I wonder which the bigger stage is.
I think it's the Game Awards, actually.
I'm starting to think it might be the Game Awards.
Well, E3 now is more of a time of the year kind of thing, really. Right. Not necessarily the actual physical stage. But,
right.
Yeah, I know.
There are definitely more announcements in E3 because there's just more stages and more happening. It's over a longer period of time. But I think in terms of viewership for a specific hour or a specific period, I think it's higher at the Game Awards, right?
Yeah,
I think so. That's my feeling. That's my gut feeling.
I'm not sure, but it's a lot of trailers, and there's a lot of eyeballs on them at the same time. So that's cool. It's a time to celebrate gaming. So that's always a good thing, It's more of those, please. The more time we get to celebrate gaming, we come together as an industry. More of that is always great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love more of that on this side of the pond, though. I mean, both E3, GDC, and now this happened to be in the US. It's great, but also it means I'm fast asleep when most of the stuff happening, or I need to do what Rami's doing, travel across the world, then wake up at 7 a.m. to deal with what's happening in Europe. So
live from LA,
live from LA.
Premiere.
Yeah, I would love more stuff to come out to have a similar impact, but to come out from Europe, especially And I tweeted about this, especially like looking at the amount of content that was coming out through the Gaming Awards. I was so proud of the Swedish games industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were killing it, man. There's so much cool stuff coming out of Sweden.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, really, watching it, was like, oh, that's a game in Sweden. Oh, yeah, that's, these guys working on this game. These guys working on that game. Oh, yeah, I know these guys. Like, it's like people from the hood, and, like, they're having a very big appearance at the Game Awards. So hats off to all the Swedish game developers. They made it all the way to Game of the Year, right? So also congratulations there. Also, like, I want to say that, like, on that topic of the Game of the Year award winner, I don't know Joseph that well, but Rami, you mentioned that you know him. But for me, seeing an Arab on stage winning that award, like, super proud. But absolutely. Also an Arab Swede winning that award, I'm like, double proud. Like there's so many ways that I could vicariously attach myself to his accomplishment. But like, I'm very proud and really happy for him and the team. It's amazing, well-deserved award.
That game was something special, really. I'm still playing it with my daughter. It Takes Two. And we're absolutely loving it. It's really, really well deserved. I could see it being some people's favorite games of all time, like not just of this year. Yeah.
It was a cool ending to the show. He's such a genuine guy, on the show. And like, there's the I can relate to him on an Arab level. The stuff that he says, like, go out there and have kids.
Have kids.
It's totally what an Arab guy would say. Like, I thought like all of my friends or like relatives from back home be like, why are you still don't have kids? Go out there and have some kids. It's like, it's basically every time I visit home, I get very similar messages.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely an Arab thing. It was definitely an Arab thing to do. I'm not sure if it was a smart thing to do, but it was definitely an Arab thing to do. Yes. I think the F the Oscars thing went over a lot better than go get kids.
Yeah.
He also said it like he was going to get them at the supermarket.
At the market, yeah. Go pick them up on your way home.
I like it. This is the most Arab thing that has happened in video games for a while now.
Yeah. But there's something endearing about like how genuine he is. Of course, like some of the words that come out might not land in the right way for sure, but also like it's it's who he is up there on the stage.
Yeah, no, he's really genuine. So.
So it's pretty funny moment for me. Like I think like if I wasn't an Arab, I would be like, what's going on? But then being an Arab, going like. Yep, that's like every time I visit family,
right.
This is default.
But it's cool. I'm very happy that it's a great game. Yeah, really absolutely. Deserving of the award. I'm happy for him and his team to have received that recognition.
Absolutely. I'm excited about some of the announcements that completely took me, by surprise.
Well, can you tell us about some of them?
I'll tell you about the ones I saw. So there's this game that was not on my radar at all, that didn't hear whispers about or anything, called Arc Raiders, that looked really, really cool, where it's like co-op fighting giant robot type things. That looked really fun. And
that's a Swedish game.
Is it? Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that.
It's a Swedish game.
Yeah. I just like the tone of it. The tone was different than you would expect for. Like, and now that you're saying it's Swedish, it makes sense. Because if it was an American game, it would be a more military, more drab. There's a certain aesthetic that comes with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was different, and
it's like it's the Swedish aesthetic when they started on a game in summer, and then the winter slowly crept up, and it got darker, and they made the game a little darker, and then summer started coming again, so the colors came back in. So there's this weird whiplash, like this weird tonal whiplash of like rainbow stripes, also giant robots.
It's also the song that was featured in the trailer, I Keep Dancing on My Own, which was completely stuck in my mind for the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Also by a Swedish pop star. Robin is her name.
I love it.
So like those guys, they're like almost a sister studio to DICE. So there's a lot of friends that worked on that game.
That's great.
A lot of ex-Dicers are at Embark Studios here in Stockholm. So yeah, that game looks dope. very excited about getting my hands on it for sure.
That's right.
What else caught your attention, Osama?
So, okay, this is going to maybe be a little bit controversial, but I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. And there's like a Star Trek, between quotes, Telltale game that was announced. And I don't know how I feel about that whole...
Wait. Stop. Telltale Star Trek game?
Wasn't that announced? Or did I imagine that?
I mean, there's a Quantic Dream Star Wars game.
Yeah, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. I have friends who worked on that.
No, there was a Star Trek game.
Yeah.
There was?
Yeah, it's Star Trek Resurgence.
Yeah, that's it.
I must have gone to the bathroom for that one.
Okay, you had me second thinking myself. I'm like, did I imagine the game that I wanted?
Live from LA.
Live from LA. I was at the bathroom. No, it was keep in mind, this was a 3-hour show. I did hop out.
Yeah.
To go to the bathroom like once, and I was gone for like a few minutes. So
that must have been
apologies to the Star Trek. My apologies to the Star Trek Resurgence team for doubting that your game actually exists. And during development, there are many moments where you also doubt that. Please don't believe me. Your game was announced, and it is real.
Yes. Well, I mean, as a massive Trekkie, I'm gonna play that. There's no way you're gonna keep me from playing that on day one. Whether I was excited about
I'll take that challenge.
Oh, you know what?
Tackle him.
It's 1 hour special Habibis episode.
Oh no.
Osama just casually walking to his living room to play a video game. Then all of a sudden, Rami jumps out from behind the cushion and tackles him to the ground. I'm not allowing you to do this.
I mean,
I figured Rami would be more insidious. He'd like hack my internet and like block all news from the Star Trek games. So
I'd literally just cut the every HDMI cable in your house. I just grab some scissors.
Oh my god, that's worse than what Posey said. I'd rather you tackle me.
No,
at least I can play something else if you tackle me.
Every HDMI cable, yes, Sam. Every single one. And then I'll tie them together in a knot so you don't see that they're cut. So you spend at least like 20 minutes diagnosing the problem.
This keeps getting worse. Oh my god.
I'm very excited already. Let me know when the game comes out, Josama.
No, I will not.
Also, let me know if the guest room is available that week.
Oh no. The other game I'm super excited about, and I'm very biased, is Wonder Woman. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Monolith. I loved the Shadow of games, and especially the first one, of course, but the second one as well. And I really, really hope it has a Nemesis system in it. And I know that's a very easy thing to say. It's like, yeah, they're known for that one thing, and I hope that one thing makes it into the next game that they're making. But I mean, there are no other games that are using that system, and I thought it was such a strong, good system. So I really hope that it leverages that. But I have no idea. The announcement surprised me like everyone else. I said I'm biased because it's a sister studio of ours. Like Monolith and WB Games Montreal are both under the WB umbrella. So I have hopes, and I'm a fan of comics, as you know. And that's it. Those are my top 3 exciting announcements for Game Awards.
Wait, I'm supposed to limit it to 3?
No,
yeah, it's very rough.
That's very tough.
No, go.
I'm just very happy that there's a Game Award, that there's a Wonder Woman game, a Wonder Woman thing where I don't have to feel weird about Gal Gadot.
Yes.
I was like, oh, nice. Okay, cool. I can enjoy this. That's nice. That's nice.
Yep. And if it turns out that she's voicing it, then forget what I said.
No, yeah, malish. There'll be another game. Another game. We'll play. There'll be a Black Widow game eventually.
We'll play the long game.
I have a bunch that I can talk about that I was excited. Like there's like a big group. So like first of all, I'm gonna start by saying sorry for anybody who I didn't mention. There's really so many games, but I wanna like mention some of the games that stood out for me. One is Planet of Lana. It's another Swedish game made by Wishfully Studios. It looks very interesting. It looks very different. And it's they start by mentioning that the Last Guardian's Takeshi Furukawa wrote the music for the game, so you can feel that energy coming through the trailer.
Yeah,
I like the style of that. It looks very interesting.
Yeah,
right.
Arc Raiders we spoke about before for many reasons. Very excited to play that one. That looked pretty dope. Very happy that we're getting an Alan Wake 2.
Of course.
That's the one for me. That's the big one.
That's the one I expected Rami to say Alan Wake, and that is it. Stop talking.
I mean, the first one is great, but like, how long have you been waiting, Rami? It's been a while, right? Since the second one.
I kind of see the other Remedy games as continuations of Alan Wake.
Oh, fair.
So I obviously, what was it? Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. The one before Control, you mean?
Yeah, and then Control. Yeah. I really liked Quantum Break. A lot of people don't like it, but I really like that game.
Yeah.
It was such a cool experiment. Nobody else would have made that. Only Remedy would have made that game.
I agree. And also, like, there was a lot of actors in the cutscenes of that game that came from The Wire, which is my all-time favorite TV show.
Oh,
so like, The Wire for me is best TV ever made, and like, there's a lot of nods to The Wire in the casting of that thing. I was like, yeah, I'm in. You know,
but just combining game and movie that way, or TV series to be precise, it was such an interesting. And in the end, kind of flawed idea, but I have such a weak spot for flawed ideas.
Yeah. I love that they try, man. That's the most important thing. We gotta try. We gotta, do something new. That's really cool.
Long live Remedy for that. And then obviously, Control had a pretty explicit Alan Wake, not a fuse even. So they've been working towards Alan Wake coming back for a long time.
The Alan Wake first, right?
Oh my god. It's too early for this show, Sam.
I'm sorry. Strike it from the record. Overruled.
Too late. But also, like, we wouldn't expect any less.
It will be very disappointing otherwise.
We need some dad jokes from Osama.
Of course.
They need to happen. They need to happen. Why do the Norwegians put barcodes on their ships?
Oh no.
I don't know. What? I don't know.
So they can Scandinavian.
Oh, you killed it. That was amazing. so
good. That was very worth it for the laugh alone.
The laugh alone is enough.
Good.
But Alan Wake being a survival horror game.
Yeah. Right.
That I did not expect that.
It's a good fit. I mean, the world is a good fit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unexpected, agreed, but I mean, yeah, it could work.
I just expected another action adventure.
Yeah.
But okay. I will 100% take survival horror game. Again, it's Remedy. They can do very little wrong. Like between Bungie and Remedy, they're the two studios ready out. But I'll play it.
And Rami, even though it's a survival horror game, we can play it together so that you're not not too uncomfortable.
Scared.
Yeah.
I cannot play horror games, but I hope that they bring it in a direction where the horror is like. Because one of the things I liked about Alan Wake is that it's not actually a horror game, right? The way they marketed it was actually, it's a psychological thriller as a video game.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric.
Right. And I think that was very similar for Quantum Break, which was sort of like an action thriller. And then Control, which was, again, like a supernatural thriller. Mm-hmm. But the Remedy doesn't, it's not a studio that makes you jump scare. It does it once a game or something, right?
No,
it's a studio that makes you go like, oh no, no.
It's dread.
And they nail that, and I just love that they're a thriller studio because making thrillers in games is incredibly hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they do it every time. So I just hope that they lean into that, like it's a survival horror thriller. Because I don't want to play a horror version of Alan Wake. I'll be really honest.
Yeah. Look. Yeah, I'm very excited. So I'm looking forward to see more of that. Another game that also caught my attention, another Swedish game called Metal Hellsinger.
I don't think I saw the trailer.
Which is like imagine if you're playing Doom, but you have to shoot to the rhythm of a metal song the entire time.
Oh.
So it's like it's like the new Doom, like Doom or Doom Eternal, like this kind of like shooter, but you're and you're listening to a very awesome metal soundtrack, but you're shooting to the rhythm actually gives you it's how you play the game basically.
That's a really cool idea. I've seen similar things in indie spaces where it's like a twin shooter, but you only look in a direction and it shoots for you at a rhythm, and you have to just time it. So like I've seen like explorations of similar themes like that, but I've never seen that with this level of budget. I'm looking at the trailer right now.
The trailer looks great, and the game looks pretty cool. Very excited about that. I'm saying, man, like there's a lot of studios that are really killing it, and there's Elden Ring. I don't know how you guys feel about Dark Souls style games, but I'm a fan.
So
I'm not really, but I looked at the trailer and I was like, yeah, that's a trailer for a video game that people will enjoy.
Yeah. I actually bought Dark Souls, the Japanese version, before it was announced for North America. I was super excited to get it. I love the world building in those games, and I'm not good enough to play them for very long. But I've bought every single one. I have Demon Souls, I have Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I have Bloodborne, and I always play them for a few hours until I get to the point of frustration where I can't keep going. And then I stop. So I'll definitely get Elden Ring.
Play it for a bit.
Yeah, I'm just not going to finish it because that's my track record. Is I beat usually the first big boss, and then I get frustrated at the second boss, and I just like at some point I hit a skill ceiling, and it'll take too much effort for me to pass it. I did similar things with Returnal. I finished Returnal about halfway. I absolutely loved it. It was my game of the year for this year. Like really, really incredible world building, very elegant game. I will never finish that game. I just can't.
Right. I understand that. Like I didn't finish all From Software games, but there are some games that I did finish, or like there are some moments in those games that like they rank very high up in like my all-time favorite gaming moments.
Yeah.
Like there's some moments in Sekiro, for example. Like I've obviously been very frustrated in a bunch of the boss fights, but I've also never been this exhilarated at the same time.
That's right.
And there's some design decisions, and also artistic design decisions that felt really well hand in hand in Bloodborne that I've rarely seen in another game before.
Right. Yeah.
There's like those games are special. In a lot of ways, and including the way they demand things from the player, which I can totally relate to. Like, not only do I think that they're not for everybody, they're not for me all the time. Even like
they're not for me. I do the same as Sam. I play them for a few hours, and then I go, yeah, okay, I see what they're doing, and I don't find it interesting enough to throw myself at it over and over again, but I can very easily see how it could be, right? It's just like you said, not for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things in which like, you can be in or out or somewhere in between, but I totally understand. Like they're very frustrating in some areas and very exciting in some areas. The one last game I want to I get it. The one last game I want to mention, maybe there's two, but like the one I want to talk about, and there's the teaser I want to also mention. There's a game called Thirsty Suitors.
Yeah, Thirsty Suitors. Yeah.
I'm watching the trailer. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, but I'm loving everything about it.
So, absolutely.
It's like Annapurna Strikes Again. I don't know where they find these games, but good on them. Please keep on finding these games for us.
Mostly in LA, to be honest. But yeah. They're pretty localized with their funding, which is one of the only major criticism I have of that publisher label. But I don't know where Thirsty Suitors is from, to be honest. But very US focused publisher.
It was Eka worked on that one, right?
Might have been. So then it will be UK, isn't it?
I think it's Outer Loop Games.
Yeah,
Outer Loop Games. Yeah, where are they based?
I thought they were based in California. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that would not surprise me.
There might be. I'm not sure, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, the game is it's very interesting.
It looks incredible.
Very stylish, focusing on like interesting subject matters, like some adult themed subject matters as well. Like it kind of reminded me a little bit of Catherine, in which like it's talking about dating lives and that kind of stuff, and expectations from dating life and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited to see more. Actually, I'm excited to play it without seeing more. I've seen enough. I want to be completely surprised by what's in the game.
So I looked it up, and Outer Loop is a fully distributed indie studio, so they're all over the world.
But they still have a place.
I'm sure they do. I can't find it on their website. So
no, fair enough.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's a cool game. I mean, my thoughts on Annapurna should absolutely not take away from this game being cool.
Yeah,
it's just it's the one criticism I have of that publishing house, and they're not great at communication every now and then, but that's just industry stuff, right? Like that's whatever. The game looks good. Hey, what about we do instead of continuing too much longer on the Game Awards? How about I just read a list of all the stuff that happened at the Game Awards, and we just really quickly say what we think.
Okay, if you want that was the last one I wanted to talk about.
Because that's the thing. I thought so as well, but I scrolled through a list and there's more.
Okay.
What? So,
there's a lot more.
All right, Star Wars Eclipse. How do we feel? That sounds right. Alan Wake 2.
Excited.
Very excited. Same. Just hope it's not too horror-y. Wonder Woman we already did.
Yes.
Elden Ring we talked about. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
I've been hyped for that one forever.
I am actually pretty excited.
I'm very excited. It looks really cool. Yeah.
It does. Hellblade 2, Senua Saga.
I've never played a Hellblade, so I don't have an opinion.
Hellblade was very good.
Yeah, I heard good things. It just never made it to...
It's not very long. You should give it a go.
It's on my list. It's been on my list forever. I'll never make it through that list.
I wasn't sure if I loved the trailer, but I sure love what they're. I mean, it looks like more Hellblade.
Yeah, I will play it. It's one of those things. Like, this will come out. I will play it.
Yep. Our graders we discussed. Forspoken.
Looks cool. Always liked what that game looked like.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued. There's a Final Fantasy-esque thing to it.
Yeah, for sure. It has that vibe, right? Horizon Forbidden West. Well, I'm hyped for that one, but obviously it's a Dutch game.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm hyped for it because Horizon was one of my favorite.
The first Horizon was great. Yeah,
I bounced off of it near Meridian, and then only saw the ending when my mom played it. But I love the game.
Yeah,
I really love the game. It's just it stretched a little longer than my attention span at that time could handle.
I looked up Forspoken, by the way, and I forgot the name, but that one looks really, really cool.
Right. Right. Sonic Frontiers.
Sonic goes open world. Let's go.
Breath of the Wild. Vertical open world exploration. I'm all for it.
Let's go.
I'll give it a try.
Cuphead, the delicious last course.
Yes, more Cuphead. Yes,
more Cuphead. I'm good with more Cuphead.
I love Cuphead, but it's too hard for me, so I'll watch someone else play it.
Right. Yeah, similar to the Souls games, right? Like I really love the game, but also it's not for me.
It's not for me. Yeah.
I loved it. So I played a lot of Cuphead. So more of it is
nice.
Good.
Star Trek Resurgence that wasn't at the show. I don't think that was at the show. I refuse to believe.
Okay, I
refuse to believe that was at the show.
I remember it.
The Expanse, a Telltale series.
I like the Expanse TV show. I'm more excited about Star Trek, and they're both similar. So yes, but not as much as Star Trek.
All right, fair. A Plague Tale Requiem.
I like the first one, and this one seems to be a big improvement from the trailer. So I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, I thought the first one was kind of clunky, but had good ideas. So I'm excited to see what they can do with a second one.
Yeah.
June, Spice Wars.
I'm terrible at RTSs, but I love them, and I usually get them and play them on easy against a computer. So, like, full transparency and honesty, I really love it, but I can't learn builds and like practice too much.
Right. I can't wait for a new real-time strategy game, like proper 4X old school real-time strategy.
4X? I don't think this one's a 4X. I think this one is just start.
I think it's based on 4X elements. That's at least what a lot of the coverage. Because there was a new RTS game. I'm like, I'm gonna look this up, and they're like, yeah, there's some 4X elements in this.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
Slitterhead, which was the new studio bokeh from Keiichiro. Well.
So it's a Japanese game.
Yeah, it's a Toyama game.
A Toyama game. Yes, I remember. I liked a lot of the...
How do I pronounce that first name?
The aesthetic.
Keiichiro? Chiro? Did they just make a typo in this list?
Keiichiro?
Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Because they wrote it here with Rio at the end, and I'm like, I think this is a typo. I can't imagine that combination existing. Okay, Slitterhead, horror game.
Not into horror games.
Oh, right. Looked cool. The aesthetics looked pretty nice.
Okay, Among Us VR.
Probably with my kids at some point, taking turns because they love Among Us like crazy.
It's weird because I'm never gonna play that, but somehow I'm really happy it exists. Saints Row.
Yeah. It's been a while. It's been a while since I had the Saints Row.
I'll play it, but also that trailer was very long. That was a very long trailer. Like, we know what Saints Row is.
Was that the trailer you watched right before going to the bathroom? Because maybe that's why it felt really long. Did they play that right before Star Trek?
Absolutely could have been. Nightingale, which is that shared world survivor crafter game with the big monsters.
Intrigued, yeah. Always good to see new IPs, so yeah, why not?
Yep, true. Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Looked very stylish. Loved the attitude.
Very Gearbox, right?
Yeah, very Gearbox.
Oh, that one, yes. Okay, I know which one you're talking about. You had to say Gearbox. Now I remember which one it was.
Right. Yeah. And then Crossfire X, which is the Smilegate game.
Yeah. Looked all right.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. Like, yeah, okay, we'll see that. Then the big ones left are Monster Hunter Rise getting an expansion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is coming to PC and slowly increasing in title size.
Extra turbo.
Right. Dying Light 2 got a new cinematic trailer. I really like the first Dying Light. I'm unsure how I'm feeling about the second one, but I really like Dying Light 1.
I will play it. I liked the first one. Yeah, it was really fun to play with friends, so I will for sure play the second one.
Warhammer Space Marine 2 announced, so more people can now be confused about whether the fascists are good or bad.
Yes, but that game was the first game was really fun. So
it's a fun game, yeah. Tunic has a release date, which I'm very excited for. Tunic. It's an isometric Zelda game with a fox in it as the main character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That looked
cute.
Yeah. It looked like the old Zeldas.
Yes.
Really good.
Persona 4 Arena Ultimax coming to PS4, Switch, and PC. Okay.
Yes, fighting games.
Oh yeah. You two like those. That's true.
Rosie beat me at it when it comes out.
That's less fun, right?
So fun.
Rumbleverse is a brawler battle royale by Iron Galaxy.
I like the art style. It's different. Yeah,
it looked fun.
Yeah. I'm sure Iron Galaxy is taking a bit of a bet on this one, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
Doke V Rockstar music video extended cut. I remember that happened.
I don't think I'm the target audience for that one.
I really don't think I was either, but it absolutely happened. It was a thing that occurred during this show.
Yeah,
I am very excited about Doke V and everything relates to it.
Perfect. One Habibi was super into it.
Not that trailer necessarily, but I like that.
Just what is happening.
Just what's happening is like, I don't know what's going on, but yes, cool.
The Lord of the Rings column, The Untold Story has a trailer. There's too many columns in this title.
Column. I love it. That's what I'm calling that game from now on.
Yeah, column. Yeah, that looked good. It looked good. I didn't see gameplay, I think. So like maybe something was gameplay, but it didn't feel like they cut the gameplay.
Yeah.
And then there was Thirsty Suitors, which we talked about.
Yes.
Babylon's Fall got a release date, which cool. PUBG Battlegrounds is going free to play. Tchia was a game inspired by New Caledonia, and it lets your soul jump into animals. It looked very pretty.
Also Zelda inspired, which is cool.
Yep. Have a Nice Death was a roguelite that mixes safety with workplace comedy with roguelike action. That was okay. Yeah. Death Celsi. Somerville.
Intrigued.
Yep. I'm curious. I want to see more.
I want to see play more and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Planet of Lana looked really pretty.
Really pretty.
Yeah, that's
really pretty.
One of the ones I'm super excited about. I mentioned it before.
Beautiful. King of Fighters 15 reveals a new character and an open beta test.
King of Fighters is traditionally one of my favorite fighting games of all time. Can't say I'm a huge fan of the art style of 14 and 15, but I bought 14 anyway, and I will buy 15 anyway.
Yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Online.
Yeah, there was cinematic trailer, but I want to see more gameplay to see what the game's about.
Yeah, I mean the Gun who did that game, they've done well with asymmetrical multiplayer games, so I'm kind of curious.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm curious as well.
GTFO.
Another product of Sweden, I think.
Yeah.
I also looked interesting.
There was a really moment when one of the devs was announcing it on the stage, and he got really nervous. And
he got so nervous. It was adorable.
I just wanted to run on stage and give him a hug. I wasn't there, of course, so that would have taken a long time.
Yeah, and I don't know, Osama. Like we have the Arab disadvantage where running into a stage is probably not the smartest thing.
You're right.
So probably not. Let's not do that. Homeworld 3, I'm super excited about.
Yes, I wanted to mention that the Homeworld, man, so good that they're back.
So good! I'm so happy.
That trailer was short, but got me like, oh yeah, I'm psyched.
All the goosebumps. I was super excited.
Yes.
Vampire: The Masquerade Blood Hunt had a new was a free to play battle royale game. Okay, I actually do not remember that.
I remember seeing it. The cinematic wasn't all that impressive.
I mean, it's funny because that game, the key art looks like me, so people keep sending it to me.
That's really weird. Oh,
there was an alternate history game called Steel Rising.
Yeah,
set during the French Revolution. Then, like Osama said, Metal Hellsinger.
Yeah.
It
was Fauzi who brought it up, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it was Fauzi.
I'll take credit. It's fine.
Okay. Evil West.
Yes.
An upcoming third-person action game where you eradicate vampiric hordes with your lightning-fueled gauntlet and become a Wild West superhero.
Okay.
And then finally, the most important one, there was a new Destiny trailer.
You actually missed the most important one. Vermintide is coming out with a new character.
Oh yeah. I think that was probably under the Warhammer thing. I just didn't read that one.
Yeah.
But okay, I just want to jump into Destiny for like 1 minute because
of
that's one of the only things.
What a surprise!
One of the only things I've played this week, and I just want to for a moment explain to you what the breadth of the Destiny IP is. Okay. So Destiny is traditionally a game about like sci-fi and monsters and like good and evil and philosophy and like eternal life and stuff like that. So Bungie turned 30 years old earlier this year, and they're celebrating it by having a 3-month celebration in Destiny to celebrate their heritage as a studio. So there's all sorts of Halo weapons. They're bringing back weapons from Destiny 1. There's the nods to like Myth and Marathon and all these other games, right? Mm-hmm. Which is great. And they've thematically tied it into a seasonal event called the 30th anniversary season, effectively. And the storyline is the best thing I've ever seen. And I just wanted to call it out because it made me so happy. In the Destiny universe, which is now building towards this sort of horrific conclusion of a story arc where the enemies get access to the same powers as our guardians, so they become immortal, and this enemy has outsmarted us and is now using our powers against us, and it's really looking to shake up the entire universe. That's what we're going towards. The story has sort of been like getting more grim and darker, and like we're basically realizing that we're not going to win this fight. So the 30th anniversary edition story lands at this beautiful place. The story is very simple. The planets of our solar system have gained consciousness in the universe, in the Destiny universe, and they're called the Nine, and they're this mysterious force that speak to us via an emissary. The emissary's name's Xur, and he's a robed figure with tentacle faces. He just has tentacles for a face. And he speaks about things like how his will is not his own, and he only shows up once a week to sell us exotic weapons and armor from like his stashes. But they're these very they have this gravitas, and every now and then the Nine would pull you into this sort of mystical universe where there would be a giant pool of water and all these constellations, and there would be different constellations, but one of them was a giant horse, right? And they represent different mythologies or facets of the Nine. Anyway, it's the 30th anniversary, so the Nine have decided that what they really want is Takeshi's castle. And so they've made a big obstacle course for the Guardians in their domain, and they've turned Xur into a game host because they're unknowable. So now Xur is a game host, and you're just kind of running around. And the Star Horse really wants violence, so there's now a whinnying horse in the background, while Xur is yelling game host lines from TV series, while we're getting loot. And for some reason, it does not feel out of place. Which I think that's incredible.
Sounds very cool, Rami. I think at some point we need to like have this podcast be sponsored by Game Pass and Bungie, and just get it over with.
Also, so let's talk about Flight Simulator real quick. So we get that in as well.
Oh yes, like that too.
So double Microsoft sponsorship.
Yeah. And then also we want to just we want to talk about Gmail for being our email provider. So thank you, Google. Of course. And Elgato for the microphones. That's very good. Very good.
Speaking of Gmail and email providers.
Wow.
What? What? Is this happening?
There were things I wanted to say, but for this transition, I'm not saying them anymore.
We're done.
So good. You know what, Osama? The floor is yours.
Thank you. I took a bow. No one saw it, but I took a bow.
Yeah, wow. That was next level.
Thank you.
Amazing.
All right, let's jump into the meat of it. The reason this podcast exists. Yes, I said it. The email corner. So we have 2 emails for this week. Let's jump into the first one.
If we're going to give it a name, it should just be El Mail or something. What should we call it?
I like it. And men. Okay, let's do it.
All right. So if you want to send us emails, what do we do, Osama?
You send us emails and we'll read them at info@habibis.com.
I was like, are you really going to go with like, if you want to send us emails, send us emails.
Just do
it. Amazing.
So the first email is by our friend Marcus, and what Marcus says is, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all three of you for making me feel like your friend. That's why I was comfortable calling him friend. For sharing your successes and your failures, for always being kind to each other, for being funny and lighthearted, and also somber and sincere. I think it is especially meaningful to me to hear other grown men, professionals, being open and treating each other with respect. Ah, that was so
very sweet. Thank you very much. We're grown men, guys. We made it.
I don't know how I feel about that.
We've managed to successfully trick everybody to think that we are, adult and mature.
I'll take it. It's interesting because the beginning part of this email, which I won't read out, it's a little bit long, but he mentions about how when he listens to us, he actually gets the impression that he knows us and somehow tricked himself into thinking we know him. And that exact thing happened to me in the past, where I used to listen to this other video game podcast years ago called Idle Thumbs. Mm-hmm. And I bumped into one of the podcasters at GDC, and I was about to introduce myself as if I was an old friend. Like, hey, it's been wait, no, you have no idea who I am. And that was such a weird moment where he probably looked at me and was like, why are you smiling? Why did your smile disappear? Why did you just walk away from me? What is happening?
Probably ended up more awkward than if you had just continued, but
Absolutely. So I totally get it. I've lived that experience.
Same.
Yeah, because we're being honest and we're being open. So of course it creates a sense of familiarity. But we're talking to each other mostly, right? And we do I do feel like I'm getting to know the people on our Discord, and a lot of them, the people in our community, are friends from there. But listeners, it's a one-way relationship, unfortunately. So this is a good segue to say, join us on our Discord if you want to actually, make it a two-way.
He's killing it. He's good. Somebody give this guy a promotion.
Maybe double.
Maybe if I just stop talking, this podcast will be better now. I'm just telling Destiny stories, and everybody goes like, "Yeah, okay, let's do email." I know someone here is doing incredible transitions.
Thank you.
But no, I mean that's part of it, right? Like they call it parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
And it's a very common thing on the internet nowadays. I actually don't mind if we meet in real life, if you just walk up and go like, hey, I listen to the Habibis and, I love or hate or whatever the podcast. Like, I'm super good with that. So if we ever come across each other in real life, come say hi.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please do. Come say hi.
And if you're comfortable with it, I'll give you a hug. That's totally okay.
Yes.
I'm into that.
So, yeah, no. Obviously, I deeply appreciate when people listen to the show, right? Like,
same.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things of the week every week, and the audience and the audience response and everybody caring about what we're up to and what is happening. It's lovely. I get to catch up with the other two Habibis is obviously amazing, but I know that really like the audience is like this, are a big part of like the sort of like the background of this show, right? Like, because I can talk to Fauzi, I can talk to Osama, but we get different conversations.
Yes.
And I like these conversations that we're having because of the audience a lot. Like they're fun, interesting conversations. So I'm very thankful for that, and I appreciate that.
This is legitimately the highlight of my week. I look forward to it all the time.
If I could do this while flying, it would just be incredible.
The best.
I would be incredibly happy.
All right, that's a great idea for an episode. We film it in the air.
It's like,
we're on the air and in the air
all the time. Like airplane engine in the background. Yeah, that sounds smart. Let's do that.
Let's do that. But first, let's read our second email.
Oh.
So this email is by Sarah. And Sarah says, I heard recently from a group of game industry professionals that the game industry currently lacks a middle class, or there are huge studios with a lot of money and small studios with not that much money. Because of this, the former can choose to hire whoever they want, usually top and established talent, and the latter focuses on hiring senior talent because they need someone who knows what they're doing in order to keep at the lowest possible cost. As a result, there really isn't a place for entry level talent or room for training, and it's almost seen as a charity to do so. What do you think about
Mm-hmm.
all this? And if you agree, what do you think can be done to support new talent in the industry?
Yeah, no, I mean it's exactly true, and I think this is not a new realization for a lot of the industry. We have this tendency of letting the middle fall out, right? We did it when indie games came up, and sort of like the B game market disappeared instantly and overnight.
Yep.
I think right now the economics on the industry are rough, and it means that everybody hires what they can based on their resources, which means small studios hire a lot of like student talent or like start their own thing.
Hmm.
While AAA is mostly looking for experience,
Hmm.
and because there isn't much of a middle ground, like you kind of end up in this weird situation because people always think that promotion in games is like your skill set increases, and part of that is true,
Hmm.
right? But I think the bigger thing is your understanding of the process increases, and your
Hmm.
understanding of the people, and your understanding of communication, and
Hmm.
eventually management, right,
Hmm.
increases. I don't think anybody. I don't think a lot of careers are like I got better at doing art, so I went up, right? Like you get
Hmm.
paid more and you might get promoted, but I think the expectation is more that you're better at communicating in the process. And
Hmm.
since a lot of people are temps or outsourced or freelancers or only at a studio for several years, we just kind of lose that.
Yeah. I think one
Um,
of the biggest problem with this whole situation is that everyone thinks in the short term,
mm-hmm.
and it's really hard to break out of that. So if you want to make a game, hire the best talent, right?
Yep.
Well, how about you take a little bit longer to make that game? Hire the best talent and hire people under them that they could train, so that you're able to, just in case they leave or if they need a break or whatever, that you have someone to be able to step in.
Right.
Um, the established studios tend to do this.
Right.
The starting up studios don't tend to do this because they're thinking more in the short term. They don't, they have. It's hard to break them out of that too, because if you put
Right.
yourself in their shoes, they're trying to establish themselves, and it's risky. It's hard to think long term when you're not sure if you're going to survive middle term or short term.
Right. Although I do think a lot of big studios are at fault at this well, right? Like
Agreed.
I don't, I,
Absolutely agreed.
because I see a lot of big studios where it's like, oh no, a main person is leaving, and they're like, well, I guess we have to hire a new senior
Because they didn't think long
because they
term.
didn't train anybody internally, which is
Exactly.
just absolutely wild.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's one of the things I also speak about in terms of like in the industry. We like one of the issues we have is that we don't have that many junior positions open a lot of the times as well that match the number of people entering the industry, whether
Yeah.
from schools or something like this, uh, creating a very difficult situation for people who are just starting out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies have been, but and should be focusing even more on like more internship programs, more openings in junior position. This is a problem that also extends to tech in general. Is like most hiring managers tend to go like, I'll hire somebody with some experience instead of hiring somebody with no experience and work on training them and something like that.
Mhm.
Right.
Usually not a problem in some other countries. For example, in Japan, that's not an issue usually because companies tend to hire directly from university,
Mhm.
Yep.
and then like they hire you from university, and then it's just assumed that you're going to be with this company until retirement. So it makes a lot of sense for companies like, we just go to and interview students, and then we'll pick people based on their skill sets and their mindset,
Mhm.
and then work on training them. So like some cultures have that part ingrained in which like the company must invest in you in order for you to get invested in the company.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that kind of culture is across the board, unfortunately. Something that I think we should be more aware of and discuss a lot more in industry forums and stuff like that.
Agreed. Yeah. I have one worry though, is that I don't know about how many people graduate in Japan that want to come into the gaming industry, but I can't speak for Europe either. But in North America, an impossible number of specifically game designers graduate from universities, like thousands. And more so, like I saw one report from a few years ago, I don't know if this is still the case, where there are more game design graduates than there are game design positions total in the industry in a given year, which is, of course, impossible and unsustainable and unrealistic. Having worked in academia as well, having been a professor at a university, I see the part of the problem. Part of the problem is that the big companies, whenever they're asked by the university if they should be training more, the companies will always say yes, because they have no reason to say no, because they don't care how many people graduate. The more people go through the program, the better the people who graduate at the end are. And that's all they care about. And that's, I think, heartbreaking and immoral and unethical. Right. And we need to do better so that not as many people, so people are like, we have info sessions like I stopped teaching for about a year now, but before we used to have info sessions where I tell students this is your chance of actually landing a job in the industry if you graduate from our program or even any other program, because if they don't have that information, I think it's unethical to make them go through that entire gauntlet and then get nothing out of it.
It's such a difficult thing, Osama, as well. But like, would you want to be the professor that tells the student that you have a very slim chance, and then that student succeeding, and then you're the first slide in their presentation saying like, "This is the professor that told me I might never make it, and here I am." You know what I mean? It's
hard, but I tell them that before they sign up to the program to let them know at least. Like that's the info sessions happened before.
I actually get hired by universities to be the person that tells their students that.
Yeah.
Right, like that's an actual talk of mine. I give a talk called "You Don't Stand a Chance," and it's one of the most popular talks that I do, and it's one of the only ones that is prepped because it's the same talk every time, because it's a new year of students every time.
Yeah,
and 90% of them are not going to make it.
No.
Right, they're gonna go into a industry. It's not like it's a useless degree at that point, right? Like there's plenty of things you can do with a degree like from the games industry, but there's definitely better degrees that you could have, right? So I think good game schools tend to train their people for the games industry and the fallback.
Yeah,
right. And I think that's important because there just isn't enough games industry to catch everybody that's coming out. So I come in and I give people a reality check for each discipline. I go like, well, you think you're good? Look at this.
Yeah,
this is industry standard. I know you're mostly seeing your work compared to your fellow students. As soon as you leave the door here, nobody cares about your fellow students. You have to be good. You have to communicate well. You have to be a nice person. You have to have the attitude to make it in games. And nowadays you have to be picky, right? Like you have to pick where you end up because there's a lot of companies that will just burn you out happily and then just kick you aside for the next batch of students. So the whole games education thing is it's a little heartbreaking, but
it is.
I don't really see alternatives at the moment, like not with the way the world is. Like, so I just
universities have to scale back the number of students that they
do these but they won't do that because they make money there, and the companies won't stop saying we need more students because they make money off of it. Yeah. For them, it's not a problem if 90% of them don't make it into the games industry or don't get a job. That's not the company's problem.
Mm. Right. There's also, like I said, there's also the student. Like if that was the only solution, then there's also the students that have been denied access to that education that you know, still want to become game developers, and whether they ended up doing it or not. So it's a multifaceted issue in which there is no right answer to right now, unfortunately, other than I guess what Osama said earlier, is that to make sure that everybody is aware of the odds and the difficulties, and then that we constantly have this conversation so that we try to find solutions together.
I think that's important. I hear a lot like people going like, I don't want to have this discussion again. I'm like, no, we need to have this discussion every year.
Yep.
This is important. Every year there's new students coming into the games industry, listening to existing developers that are talking about these issues. And I think these are just conversations that need to keep happening. The same thing with the accessibility discussion and the difficulty discussion and discussion about every ludonarrative dissonance and all that stuff.
Yeah,
those are conversations that we like. Why communication is more important than your hard skills, like all sorts of stuff like that. We need to have those conversations over and over because new people keep joining.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the positive of that is that the entry-level game developers right now, they are way more skilled than the entry-level game developers of my generation. We are so bad in comparison that you can clearly see that the variety of situations that have that exist have created a high bar of accomplishment for the people who are entering in. So that's if there's a hopeful side of this, is that developers and young developers are becoming more and more amazing. So that's only pushing the industry forward eventually as well.
Yep.
It was a great question. Thank you so much for that, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
And we could have a whole entire hour podcast on discussing all the different facets of it.
Or we could just list everything that happened at the Game Awards.
All right, I guess we've done both of those things this episode.
We've done both of those things.
And we've done anything else to discuss? I think we
have it in approximately 70 minutes after the edit.
That's a lot. Yeah, I think we should stop talking now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to send me more emails. This is our favorite part of this podcast. I'm speaking
Osama's
to the other
favorite
our favorite
the royal
I'm gonna kick in the outro. Here we go. Salam, everybody.
Salam, everyone.
Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I'm Osama Dorias, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Osama Dorias. My fellow Habibis were Rami Ismail, you can find on Twitter at @THA_Rami, and Fauzi Mesmar, who you can find on Twitter at Fauzi Mesmar. Send us your questions, stories, suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.
So anyway, there's this horse, right? And it's made out of stars, and it has this great voice lines about whinnying and neighing, and it just wants violence. That's really all it wants. And Sir is normally their emissary, and he's been in Destiny since Destiny. He's been there forever, like back in 2004. So the horse wants violence, and that's where this expansion starts, right? So the expansion starts with the